U.S. Modernist Radio is part of DesignNetwork.org, exclusive architecture and design podcasts reaching creative listeners worldwide.
My name is Avi Friedman. I'm the author of Prefab Living, and you are listening to U.S. Modernist Radio.
Mama don't allow no architecture around here. Mama don't allow no architecture around here. Oh, I don't care what Mama don't allow, gonna draw mine modern anyhow. Mama don't allow no architecture around here.
Welcome to U.S. Modernist Radio, where we talk and laugh with people who enjoy, own, create, dream about, preserve, love, and hate modernist architecture, the most exciting and controversial buildings in the world. One of the great architects of mid-century Palm Springs was William F. Cody. He was featured in the Leo Zahn documentary Desert Maverick. Joining us today is the author of a new book on Cody, his daughter, Cathy Cody Nemirovsky. And later on, drummer Raice McLeod remembers the amazing singer Eva Cassidy. And now, the latest fool on TikTok, your host, Mr. Modernism, George Smart.
Hey, thanks, Tom. Well, you gotta change with the times. U.S. Modernist and U.S. Modernist Radio have been on social media for years, probably 8 or so years, but social media changes. And how and who we interact with changes too. In the beginning of Facebook back in 2004, it was primarily college kids and 20-somethings, and the worst thing you could do was friend your parents, or worse yet, your grandparents, because they were inevitably going to say embarrassing things online in full view of all your cool friends.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Fast forward 10 years, and those annoying elders took over Facebook with their rants and their photos of cats, driving kids to Instagram, WhatsApp, and Snapchat. Sure, there's Twitter, but it's more for reacting than anything else. With the assistance of one of our podcast guests, we've started a TikTok account, Mr. Modernism, all one word, and I'm open to your suggestions on content. Yes, one of the posts is our theme song, so there's that.
Oh.
Reach out through the app and let us know what you'd like to see or know more about. Support for U.S. Modernist Radio comes from Wendy Robineau and Don Beskin, and by Modernist realtor Angela Roll.
In our continuing world of make-believe, in 1997, modernist realtor Angela Roll had already established herself on the runway in Milan. She wasn't modeling, as that would have been way too easy. Instead, she had learned to fly on the runway at Milan's airport, and somehow it attracted the attention of Supo, Finland's security service.
Very secret.
As part of a secret mission to fly 2,000 pounds of Xander from Helsinki to Los Angeles, she met architect Ray Cappy at an Arby's and charmed him with her love for Syark and thinly sliced roast beef. Soon she was running architectural tours in Los Angeles around Pacific Palisades and going to parties at the Sheets Goldstein house. But this was not to last. Called back into service by Supo for one last mission, she was sent to rescue IKEA furniture that Britain's Prince Charles, noted modernist hater, was about to set on fire when he was captured by MI6 and forced to watch hours of Benny Hill reruns. Today, as a modernist realtor, Angela Roll continues to defend modernism and keep it accessible to everyone, dealing with buyers, sellers, cranky builders, and bureaucratic HOAs. Reach Angela at angelaroll.com. That's ROEHL or 919-995-0550.
Thanks, Tom. Starting in the 1940s, Palm Springs architect William Cody's prolific portfolio of houses, including celebrities like Walt Disney, Frank Sinatra, and Bing Crosby, among others, has been widely acknowledged as essential desert modernism. Cody was a forward-thinking architect who merged luxury with technology to achieve a stylish, innovative desert modernism with commercial projects, house projects, and very large community development master planning. Although a majority of Cody's work was in California and Arizona, he also had commissions in Texas, Nevada, Colorado, Hawaii, Mexico, Honduras, and Cuba.
Joining us from England is Cathy Cody Nemirovsky, the youngest of his 3 daughters. She grew up in a house that her father designed, and she has an architecture degree as well as experience in residential and interior design. From going to work with him, colored pencils in hand, to today, Being the steward of his archives, Cathy co-curated the Centennial Exhibition Fast Forward and is the co-author of a brand new book, Master of the Mid-Century, The Architecture of William F. Cody. Welcome, Cathy.
Oh, thank you, Tom and George. Thank you for inviting me to have a discussion with you.
So, Cathy, before we get started, I understand you grew up with a dog that was a relative of Lassie. I mean, how close are we talking? Cousin? Love child?
Well, we don't know really, but we do know that it came from the breeder. So it could have been a distant cousin.
Now, that breeder, if I remember, that was something like Rudd Weatherwax.
Oh, yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
No.
He was the famous Lassie guy.
Well, he was in the credits.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Maybe he was the trainer, not the breeder.
Maybe.
I don't know. How was it like growing up as the child of an architect? We've talked with many, and people's experiences are quite different. What was yours like?
Well, actually, I could say it was never a dull moment. It was an exciting life. My father was a very positive. He was like the glass was always full. His infectious laughter preceded him always. He was very joyful, looked at the beauty in life. And I think he shared that. He expressed that in his architecture. He enjoyed entertaining. He and my mother had parties, barbecues, often at our home. And they went to cocktail parties, which was very common in that day. And they both of them really enjoyed life, I would say.
Did you always live in a house that he had designed?
Yes, I did. The house he designed was completed in 52, and I was born in 54. So it took years to complete because he designed it in 46. However, the post-war steel was in high demand and other funding for his project. He just took his time so he could do it right, to do it perfect. They rented a bungalow in the heart of Palm Springs until it was completed, and then they moved in. Finally, they were all moved in 1953, the beginning of 53.
Now, was he trying to do this while doing other jobs?
Oh,
jobs?
yes. Oh, absolutely. He had an office in South Palm Canyon that he shared with a realtor who the realtor really believed in my father's talent and also promoted him. His name was Russell Wade. He was a movie actor before he became a realtor, and he introduced my father to a lot of his high-profile clients. I'm not sure if Russell introduced him to Johnny Dawson, but he had been working with the Thunderbird Country Club, and then following that, 51, Tamarisk Country Club. So, yeah, he was very prolific from when he moved to Palm Springs in 1946. His first project there, he just got his architecture license actually that year. He was 30 years old. And the Del Marcos Hotel was under construction that year, 46. It was completed in 47. This hotel that's still there received international recognition, and it was highly published, and he really landed in Palm Springs running, so to speak, with successful work.
And your childhood house had a very unique feature for that time, its own bomb shelter.
Oh.
Yes. It did. It was above ground, and there were a few steps that went down into it. But it was designed before bombs became too sophisticated, but it served as storage, for all the surplus that my parents collected. So it turned out to be more of a great storage room. It was concealed behind the wood paneling in their master bedroom.
A secret room.
Yes, you pushed on the wall and you didn't know which panels were the door. You had to know where to push, and then the door opened.
That's like a spy movie or something.
Yeah.
Hit
Yeah.
the secret pan so the bomb can't find you. If it can't find you,
exactly.
it can't blow up
right.
on you.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of bomb shelters in those days got converted into storage.
Yes, I bet. Yeah. He had another one on another wall, too, where my mother hid her furs.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
So
in the
that
nuclear winter, you're going to want to look fashionable.
Tom.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, back then they did wear them. Everybody did. The women wore them. So those were there. And above my parents' bed was a about 4-foot square panel that slid open at night or during the day, whenever, and they could stargaze in bed looking up.
Oh, in the ceiling?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool, especially back then. And he had an intercom system from the master bedroom to the kitchen and also out to the front guest house, which also in those days, intercoms weren't that common.
No, that was very much the internet of its day.
Right.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
It's like having Wi-Fi.
And also, maybe it was interesting in the library, there was under the carpet, you could step on a button and the light would turn on.
Oh,
So
my.
that was interesting.
This house was full of gadgets.
Yeah.
It was.
I love it.
He really liked to play with, technology and design with it. He had a lot of fun. I know he loved what he did.
Now, this new book of yours, you've been working on this for quite a long time. I mean, back when your father was alive, you started talking about it.
Absolutely. Yes. Unfortunately, he had been ill and he asked me to help him write his autobiography. Probably didn't want to even acknowledge that he might not be living that much longer. So we didn't get that far along with it. But I knew that was something he wanted to have happen. And he passed away. So it was always in the back of my mind, and colleagues of his would remind me that there really should be a book about your father. And I would always say yes, and there should be. And I didn't know really, Tom and George, how to go about to do this. And finally, in 2006, unfortunately, my eldest sister passed away, though I found in a storage unit a lot of my father's papers in boxes.
That she had stored away?
Yes, she had stored away. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is primary research material and good to start thinking about this book and opening up all these files and boxes and trying to, organize them was the first task, a big task. Also, after my father passed away in 1978, my mother had already given Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, a collection of his early work. So there was already an archive started up there. And I spoke to the Getty and spoke with Wim DeWitt, who at the time was the architecture director there. I asked him if the Getty would be interested, and he said they would have. But he said, since your mother had already bequeathed the first part of the collection to Cal Poly, that it would be better to have a more cohesive collection for academics and researchers to keep it together. So that's where it ended up. And I would do subsequent trips to Cal Poly after the collection was together to do the research for the book. I met Professor Don Choi up there, who was using the collection for his students. And he joined Joe Laurie and I to put on the centennial exhibition to celebrate, of course, my father's 100th birthday in 2016. That was wonderful because this book is actually written with them too. It took a village, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, books do that. Yes.
Because especially when it's far out from the source, you really have to ask a lot of people and read a lot of old material to put pieces together. So the two expertise of Don Choi and Joe Laurie just made the book really, really special. I'm really delighted.
Besides the renderings and the models and the drawings and the notes and the invoices and all the stuff that you have in the archives, you also found some love letters?
Oh, yes. My parents met in 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah, they did. My mother saved all these letters, and it was really sweet. They weren't always sweet. They were always friends, and one would like the other one more than the other, and then it would turn vice versa, and finally they got...
You could sort of tell the weather forecast from reading the notes, which way the wind was blowing, so to speak. The wind of love.
Right.
The wind of love.
Right.
Yeah.
Kathy, were these 8th grade notes, 10th grade, college? What kind of era are we talking about?
This would be the ones that I found were after college, or they could have been in college and after college. Because I read ones when he was visiting Mexico, and that would have been during college time. So they were boyfriend and girlfriend after high school.
Did you find anything else in the archives that surprised or delighted you?
Oh, well, yes. I think his drawings are just amazing. I'd seen many, and then I'd find more, and I'd go, wow, this is so good. And I remember how, proficient he was and how much he liked to draw. He would actually come home for dinner and have like a yellow lined legal pad, and he'd be jotting down, little sketches. And then one of us would say, well, Daddy, will you draw us a cartoon? And he would sketch out moon men or monsters, and it was great, because his imagination was not just architecture, but he told stories. He didn't read storybooks. He made them up. And he did sound effects with his mouth, like creaking steps, And then he was just creative that way.
You said in 2015 that there was one project in Cuba that you want to go see. What's that project?
Oh, actually, there were 2 projects, both for the same owner. One was the Villa Real, a country club and hotel. My father was designing these in 1955 and 1956 for Nina Gordon.
Was this in Havana?
Yes. So he and my mother, they made, I think, 5 or 6 trips. She didn't go all the time, but most of the time they went together. The other building for this couple was a mixed-use apartment and office building. So there was a shops on the ground floor, and there was also underground parking in this one mixed-use building. And the top floor was going to be a satellite office for my father. It was going to be an architect's office, and he was going to partner with a local architect who was running these 2 projects for my father and the client. So they worked real well together, but unfortunately, what was happening politically, the revolution, I understood that Batista was involved with the development of the country club.
And he was the president of Cuba before Castro?
Yeah, he was. Right.
Maybe a little corrupt?
Yes, probably.
Just a scooch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Personally don't know, but I know that the revolution was evolving. And I think that's why the clients bailed. They were like, we probably shouldn't do this.
Right away.
We don't think this is going to happen.
Let's put this on hold.
Yeah, let's put this on hold. But the fairway was built, and also a starter building with a little snack bar. And they were able to host one golf tournament there before Castro came. And after he did, he and Che
Guevara?
Thank you. Che Guevara. They played golf on it, but they played in fatigues and their army shoes, their boots, and they were hacking up the fairway and everything.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, yeah,
not observing
pictures.
golf etiquette.
No, but there's pictures of this. You can find pictures of them golfing on that golf course. So, anyway, that's the story of Cuba.
And the country club is still there,
No,
as far as you know?
No, it wasn't built. Only the starter building and the fairway were completed.
Probably somebody else designed a building there by now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Cathy, other than houses, what are some of the buildings people might see in California, Arizona, some of the commercial buildings that your dad did they might recognize?
St. Teresa's Church in Palm Springs, completed in 1968, is still there. It's quite beautiful. The spa, bathhouse, and hotel has been raised, and so has the Springs restaurant, unfortunately. Those were beautiful buildings. And El Dorado Country Club is there, the clubhouse. However, it has been remodeled, but a lot of it, the dining area and dining terrace is still intact as it was originally. And this building is interesting because it's the first known underground golf cart parking.
Underground golf cart parking?
Yes.
Somebody had to invent it.
Well, because he was talking to Robert McCullough, who was the major funder of this project, and he's talking to Johnny Dawson, who was a member, and a lot of these Thunderbird members became El Dorado Country Club members as well, and they put their 2 cents into what they would like to see. And so they said they didn't want to see golf carts from the dining room. And so my dad says, well, let's just put them underground.
Okay.
So they had a tunnel for entering and exiting on opposite sides. And also down in the golf cart garage was a snack bar and also a door to a card room that could be accessed upstairs from the men's locker room. There were like 4 lockers.
Another secret room.
Yeah, really.
Another secret room that were teak faced with mahogany trim. So 4 of them together looked just like the lockers. And you had to know where that was, and you'd go. So that was one of the features there. But it really was it still is a beautiful clubhouse. That's about all I can think right now of public commercial buildings.
Your dad was one of the architects in recent years who's had a documentary made about him. What was it like to see your father's projects up on the screen in Desert Maverick?
It was great. Well, what can I say? It's really special to be able to see your father's work up there on the screen, for sure. It was really good.
The book is Master of the Mid-Century, The Architecture of William F. Cody. Thanks for joining us, Cathy.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really been nice, really fun.
This fall is the 25th anniversary of the death of jazz, folk, and blues singer Eva Cassidy. She began singing and playing guitar in a band called Easy Street at the tender age of 11. She performed in various bands through her 20s, but was relatively unknown outside of Washington, D.C. In 1993, she had a malignant mole removed from her back, and in early 1996 discovered that cancer had spread to her bones and lungs. On September 17, 1996, she made her final performance, and a few months later she passed away at the age of 33. After Eva's death, her popularity grew, starting with the release of Songbird in 1998, which went 6 times platinum in the UK. You can also see a documentary of that last performance. It's now on YouTube. In May 2001, ABC's Nightline ran a piece on Eva, and over the next weekend, all 5 of Eva Cassidy's albums were on Amazon's top sales list. And in 2005, Amazon released its top 25 best-selling musicians, placing Eva in 5th place, behind the Beatles, U2, Norah Jones, and Diana Krall. The New York Times said she had a silken soprano voice with a wide and seemingly effortless range, unerring pitch, and a gift for phrasing that at times was heart-stoppingly eloquent. So true. Joining us is drummer Raice McLeod, a member of Eva's last band. Welcome, Raice.
Hello, thank you.
Raice, it's been 25 years since Eva's death, and people like me are still discovering the wonder of her music. What was she like?
She was marvelously and wonderfully and so attractively unassuming. She was a quiet country girl who effortlessly sang like an angel. She had perfect relative pitch. She didn't actually have perfect pitch per se, but she had perfect relative pitch. She didn't know what it was to sing a bad note. She sang with incredible control, with wonderful interpretation, and she was an absolute sweetheart to work with and to know.
How did the two of you meet?
About 1989, her great friend, dear lifelong friend, well, friend since for many years, and who became her record producer and was her bass player, and was a gentleman named Chris Biondo, and they began to put a band together which was going to be called, obviously, the Eva Cassidy Band. The band went through a couple of changes of drummer. I got a call to audition for the band, and in very early 1991, auditioned for them and gained the drummer's chair in the band, and I worked with her until she died.
Well, I want to go right to this first song because it's just so stunning how she sings it. Fields of Gold was written and first recorded by Sting in 1993, and it reached the top 10 in two of our favorite cold countries, Canada and Iceland, but it did well in the U.S. too. Eva recorded it in her 1996 album Live at Blues Alley, and posthumously, she charted in Sweden and the Netherlands in 2008 and 2013.
More cold countries.
And a big fan of Eva's, Katie Melua, sang it for the 2017 BBC Children in Need single. Paul McCartney once said he wished he'd written it himself. Sting himself said of Eva, "There is something about her voice, a quality that you really can't put into words, a magical quality." Here's Eva with Fields of Gold.
You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? And you can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. I never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken, but I swear in the days still left we'll walk in fields of gold. We'll walk in fields of gold. rest since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down, as you lie in fields of gold. You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold.
Raice, that song was recorded by someone just months before she died of lung cancer.
Correct, yes.
Okay. What an incredible singer.
Yeah, she that song was recorded on the 3rd of January of 1996. And she was gone very early hours of November 2nd, 1996.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
At that point, at the time that song was recorded, she didn't know that she was already terribly ill.
Yeah.
We did the release party for that CD on the 14th of July of 1996. And at that point, she was not feeling good and had to sit down to sing some of that performance. And within 3 days after that, she received the diagnosis.
Wow. Yeah, cancer sucks. Take it from a widower.
Yeah.
Oh.
Please tell me about it. We've all lost friends to that damn thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Raice, there's a book, Songbird, Eva Cassidy,
Yes.
Her Story by Those Who Knew Her. I assume
Yes.
you're one of those people.
Yes, I was. I was there. I think the book is very good. I strongly recommend it to anyone who wants to hear about Eva. It was a wonderful compilation of quotes about people who knew her well, particularly her parents, Hugh and Barbara. And I think it's a great book. I strongly recommend people, if they have a chance, to read it and learn about Eva, particularly about Eva's entire life before and during her life as a musician.
There's also been a movie development for quite a long time, right?
Yeah, it's never actually happened. It's been kicking around for a long, long time. And I'm not qualified, simply don't have the knowledge currently to tell you what's going on with that. And I'm not even sure what the issues are that are holding up its production. But yes, at some point there may be a film about her. At this stage, I honestly cannot tell you what the current status of that is.
That would make an amazing film.
Yeah, somebody should option that.
Yeah.
Her story. I mean, she started singing professionally at age 11?
Yeah, her father, Hugh Cassidy, was a musician himself. He played banjo, he played guitar, he played bass. He was an accomplished musician, and he made it sure that all his children, Eva and her siblings, were all exposed to a wide range of musical influences. A lot of family singing, a lot of family harmony singing around the table at night. He was very keen on that. Her two sisters did not go on to have musical careers. Her brother did. Her younger brother, Dan, is an extremely accomplished violinist, and he lives in Reykjavik in Iceland.
Oh.
And Dan is an excellent player. And in fact, he's on some of the tracks on the various different CDs that have been published over the years of Eva's work. Dan is playing on some of those CDs, and he's wonderful. So she was exposed to music early. She and her siblings worked together as a family group. They did some professional work early, as you say, when she was 11 in the early days. And then when she was at school, she went on to play with school friends and to play with some bands, including some quite a hard rock band. Then she went on to her own career afterwards. And then she met Chris Biondo, and that was the rest of the story, because from her meeting with Chris Biondo came her personal musical legacy that has gone on from there.
And I want to thank Chris, who was our initial contact, for putting us in touch with you.
Yeah, he's an astonishing guy and has gone on. He and his partner have now won, I think, 11 Emmys between them for television and film soundtrack work, and he's an accomplished musician.
This next song, a ballad, was written by Bill Carey and Carl Fisher in 1942. Billie Holiday recorded it in 1958 on her album Blue Satin. And here's Eva with You've Changed.
Okay. And thank you again. You've changed. That sparkle in your eye is gone. Your smile is just a careless yawn. It's all over now. You've changed. You've changed. Your kisses now are so blasé. You're bored with me in every way. You're breaking my heart. You've changed. You've forgotten the words I love you. Each memory that we share, you ignore every star above you. I can't realize that you ever cared. You've changed. You're not the angel I once knew. No need to tell me we're through. It's all over now. You've changed. Memory that we share, you ignore every star above you. I can't realize that you ever cared. You changed. The sparkle in your eye is gone, and your smile is just a careless yawn. It's all over now. You've changed. Yes, it's all over now. Ooh, you've changed. Thank you so much. Lenny Williams, Chris Biondo, Keith Grimes, Raice McLeod. Thank you so much.
That's really astonishing, Raice, the range of her voice and material.
Yeah, she almost seemed to me to be limitless. I mean, I've had the pleasure of, before I met Eva and the years since, working with some really wonderful singers and musicians. She just didn't seem to have any limit on what she could do. It was quite amazing.
Well, we're not Nightline, but we hope all of you listeners out there will run out and buy some of Eva's albums, listen to her on streaming services, and discover this magical voice. Thanks so much for joining us, Raice.
My great pleasure. Thank you very, very much for having me. And please, yes, folks, do enjoy Eva. She was marvelous.
Thanks for listening. U.S. Modernist Radio is underwritten by Wendy Robineau and Don Beskin, and by Angela Roll, your special real estate agent for Modernist Houses. Okay, Tom, take us out.
Open the hidden secret compartment to find usmodernist.org's massive archives, to listen to past shows, discover documentation of 8,000 significant modernist houses, and access 4 million pages of classic 20th century architecture magazines. U.S. Modernist Radio is produced by Soundtracks Recording Studios in Raleigh, North Carolina. Our theme song was performed by George Smart and Robinson Earl. Rogue archivist Carrie Cesarino researches guest poolside from stately Wayne Manor, where she watches Bruce Wayne do laps while shockingly handsome husband Adam installs solar panels on Bruce's roof. Another martini, please, Alfred. U.S. Modernist Radio is a production of Modernist Archive Incorporated, a nonprofit educational archive for the documentation, preservation, and promotion of modernist residential design. I'm Tom Guile. George and I'll be back soon with another Someone Out of the Past Totally Grabs You in the Present edition of U.S. Modernist Radio.